We are live.
We're live and it's power nap time.
That's why people watch us.
So they can nap along.
Mhm.
I've got an extra deep voice today due to my sinuses. Woohoo!
I may have a raspy voice soon, thanks to my whiskey.
And I have my regular annoying voice thanks to biology.
We're just before we came live. We were talking reading comics on the train, and I had a weird reading comics on the train, and I was coming from the comic shop. I was reading my book on the train this week, and usually, if anybody who's ridden a train or a bus or whatever, you got to look out for when your stop comes. You know, you got to be awake and paying attention when your stop comes, and usually it's easy. Usually it takes a certain amount of time. You know that time. I almost missed my stop on the train coming home once because my sense of time got all, because I had like a, once again, I think I had a sinus headache that night, and I was reading, and I got so into my reading trying to avoid the sinus headache that all of a sudden I was like, holy, we were like stopped at my stop for like 10 seconds when I went, where am I? Holy crap, we're at my stop. I grabbed my stop. So this week, the same thing almost happened when, once again, I got the sinus thing going on. Train ride home, reading my digital book, which is a Olivia Lone book by who writes those? I can't even remember. Barry Eisler is the author. These like spy cop thrillers that I've been reading. And I know, like, because of my sinuses, my sense of time is distorted. So I'm on the train. I go, I better look at the time and make sure that my stop. I said, my stop's in about 20 minutes. And I said to myself, I better pay attention. Went back to read my book, realized my sense of time. I was like, I had no idea how long I was reading my book for. I went, and we come into a stop. I'm like, what stop am I at? It's my stop. 20 minutes had gone by and I hadn't even noticed. That's how distorted my sense of time was from the sinuses. Look, it's Comic Crack. What's up?
I left a couple of comments on your 1991 previous video, Terrence.
Welcome.
I saw that, but didn't watch it. So I've been watching nothing as I'm resting.
No, bone number 2 on that previews.
What number 2?
Bone number 2.
Bone number 2. Ooh.
Yeah. And Catalan communication still existed.
I forgot what time the show was in Newfoundland time zone, that I still had hours to go.
We did not annex Newfoundland yet.
Yeah, but it sounds like there's a plan.
You did, pal. I'll have a good read of them tonight. All right. Newfoundland time zone is so early here. I'm still in November. November.
No, if Portugal annexed Newfoundland, we would make them use our time. So it will be all out of whack. Like in China, they have they don't have time zones. They have the same hour from the sea to the border with Turkmenistan. So it's like 4 time zones at the same time, and they started 5 in the and it's still the time. It says it's 9 o'clock, but it's actually 5 in the morning.
Glad you're. I'm not quite feeling well, but I'm feeling well enough. Well enough to chat. Got my Kleenex with me in case I have to sneeze. Hello, sleepy reader.
Welcome.
Did you guys see this week's comic book, Tempest in a Teapot?
No.
Hey, all.
No, the one about the comic shop owner complaining that he can't sell
Yeah,
comics.
the comic shop owner saying, God, I didn't even watch it. I was like, you know what?
Because Marvel already had that retailer summit 5 years ago where the retailers complained and they decided not to listen to the retailers 5 years ago. Now it's too late.
First time watching live. Hello there. Hello, Eric Peterson. Good evening.
Welcome.
Welcome aboard. Yeah, it was just like people like talking and once again, like I didn't even actually watch his video because you know what it's gonna be. You know, his comic books are going in the wrong direction. Once again, you see that headline, you know he means Marvel and DC comic books.
Yes, it's always Marvel and DC. The thing is, I know Marvel and DC. I've been what I'm always saying. Marvel and DC are off-brand. They have too many titles. And the best way that when your boy Zach said they should fire all the women, I disagree. I should fire all the women and all the men at Marvel and DC. Then they should farm out production to me, and I would hire Brazilians to draw everything and Italians to write them.
See that Paolo's got a plan.
I have a plan. Also invade Newfoundland.
Annex Newfoundland. That's the last part of his plan.
I think tomorrow night.
I did not watch it. I think it did come across my feed, and it was like, to me, it's like, oh, everyone knows how to run Marvel and DC except for Marvel and DC.
Well, yeah, it's like discussing the sports on the sports bar. Everyone knows what the coach should have done for the team to win.
Exactly.
Monday morning quarterbacking.
Yeah,
that's right.
I did get something really expensive and cool at the comic shop this week. Hold on.
The name in Portugal, the name we have for a Monday morning quarterback is bleacher coach.
Bleacher coach. I like that. That's
bleacher
a good one.
Coach.
Yeah, they're standing on the bleachers.
Yep. I got the Michael Golden Artist Edition.
Fantastic.
It's going to get its own video when I'm feeling a little better. But wow. Really, really nice. Paid $100 for it, which was a good deal.
Yeah, definitely.
But looked through it a bit yesterday, and wow, there's a lot of stuff from the Nom in it. There's a lot of his covers that are really nice, and then some stuff from Avengers Annual 10. Some page or two from his Doctor Strange stuff. But really, really cool. Like I said, it'll get its own video. Drives me crazy when people talk as if they judge all comics by sampling a few current. Exactly.
Well, there's still 80% of the market, right? So, but if you're watching from the outside, seeing the importance of American comics on the world stage, Marvel and DC are losing popularity. So in the US, it's up to Fantagraphics to educate the retailer on how to reach audiences.
Oh, wow.
Because it's the Fantagraphics books that are now easier to market.
Huh.
Of course, it has to do with the smaller publishers being more willing to take a chance.
Which Fantagraphic books are you talking about that are easier to market?
Nothing. It's the fact that they're Fantagraphics books.
Okay.
They're easier to market because the foreign publishers will take since they're smaller publishers, they will take a chance on them. Also the jury at Angoulême, they like Daniel Klaus, so.
But you know what drove me crazy about I guess all artist editions and a lot of comic collections in general, I notice. Why are you going to give me a table of contents when you don't put page numbers on the pages?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, what am I supposed to count? I I just find that bonkers. So bonkers. But a
And
lot of
it's not,
comic collections don't have page numbers.
and it's easy to put page numbers
Yes.
on a book.
It is so
you don't even have to
simple.
do it yourself. You can automate it.
It's just automatic.
InDesign does it.
Yeah.
It's not that hard. It
Not
is
hard at
a
all.
press of a button.
It's very strange. I'm just like, you telling me, and that artist edition is broken up into sections. Like there's Marvel, like some Marvel stuff, some cover stuff, some pinups and miscellaneous stuff, and some complete stories stuff. So it's 4 sections, and each section has its own table of contents. It's like, what? With no page numbers.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So it's just like, what? Marvel and DC have tried different things and they don't catch on. Yeah, it's tough to get stuff to catch on. In order to get stuff to catch on, you have to keep making new stuff, which is hard to do when your legacy stuff is making your money.
Mm-hmm. Of course, they've been changing the legacy stuff, which
Yeah.
is exactly the problem, because those things have a brand, and if you change the brand, you don't get the new customers because they perceive that brand to be the stuff that you don't like,
Right.
and you alienate the old customers because you change the stuff that they like. So yeah, you do have to launch new stuff, which is easier at Fantagraphics.
Right. Because what happens is we've discussed this on here before. The legacy, you have Spider-Man, who's your best-selling guy, and you want to sell Spider-Man to little girls, so you make Spider-Girl. Then you want to sell Spider-Man to Latinos, so you make Spider-Latino. And every sub-market gets their Spider-Man. And that is, that's not creatively driven. That's driven by marketing, kind of. And that's how the brand gets diluted over time.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just so much easier to get a variation of Spider-Man, get an interest in a variation of Spider-Man than it is on something totally new. The news isn't going to pick up random new hero. They're going to pick up Spider-Man is now a black guy.
Yeah. And there's the variation, the other variations of the title. There's again 5 or 6 X-Men books. The thing is, it's okay to launch a new X-Men title if your main one is selling 500,000 copies or 1,000,000 copies.
Right.
It's not okay to do that when your main title is selling 60 and you're getting the other one to sell 30.
Yeah, Spider-Girl or J2 come to mind. Yeah, for continuing legacy characters and people didn't show up. Yeah.
No, MC2 problem with MC2 is that it looked derivative.
Yeah.
Derivative and second rate knockoffs.
Mm-hmm.
And I liked A Next. I was reading every issue of A Next. I loved it. I think it made for interesting. Although they kind of, Tom DeFalco was not doing everything. There were things that didn't mesh with what was supposed to be the future of the Marvel universe.
Right.
So he wasn't even. There weren't enough rules for him to make it work. But apart from that, the characters were interesting. They had the personalities, but visually they were knockoffs. Also, Ron Frenz was drawing like Sal Buscema, and if you're trying to get new readers, they're not. Even in 1999, they were not going to like Sal Buscema.
Yeah. Huh. The elusive new readers.
Mm-hmm.
Get Wilson pictures of Latino Spider-Man.
Yo quiero Spider-Man.
The character substitutions are chasing short-term sales boosts. Yeah, but they're also chasing, licensing, selling backpacks and stickers to kids. So it's the easy thing to do. But in order to get new stuff, you have to constantly be creating alongside that, and that's much harder to do. And big companies really aren't interested in that. At least structural part of big companies. I'm sure creators would be more interested.
Yeah. The creating part isn't that hard because you can get the band's shirt without liking the band, and it's the same thing with Spider-Man. You don't have to read Spider-Man comics to want the Spider-Man T-shirt.
Yeah. Spider-Man. And
So
comic fans like to complain.
Oh yeah. So on my way home tonight, went through Grand Central Station, and because I went to Midtown Comics by Grand Central, so that's my way home, and I spotted at least 3 people wearing some sort of Marvel merchandise.
Right.
A woman with a Spider-Man shirt, a guy with at least the Captain America shield on his back.
That shirt is everywhere. That's the one I see the most, the Captain America shield.
Mm-hmm. But this one was on the person's back on his jacket. So I was like, that was a new one to me. And it's like it popped into my mind the story that you were telling. At one point, if you saw a comic book shirt, you knew that was a comic book fan.
Right.
It's like now it's a shirt.
Yeah.
And it's like it's fascinating to see because you know, do you strike up a conversation with someone with a comic book shirt? Would they know the comic book, or are they just a fan of the shirt?
Yeah.
You know,
they might know the movie. They might just know the imagery.
Yeah, or it just could be the imagery itself. It's like they just like that shirt. And there's nothing wrong with that. You know, I've worn shirts for bands.
It's just a different world.
Yeah, I've worn shirts for bands that I didn't listen to, but I like the design of the shirt. Plus, you know, they were at Kmart for like whatever, $3. So, you know, I got a bunch of them. Yeah. But again, it's one of those things where it's like design wise is what people buy sometimes.
Yeah, Captain America's shield is one of the best logos that Marvel's in control of.
Yeah.
And the fact that they had to redesign the shield way back then in 1941, it was a happy happenstance.
It was a blessing in disguise.
Oh yeah.
I recall hearing somewhere that Spider-Girl was not only for young female readers, but appeared to dads who wanted to see Spider-Dad. I hadn't heard that.
Well, there were fans at the time who were pissed off that they killed off the kid and
Mary Jane and kid.
And that they brought back Aunt May.
Okay. Creators know they won't be well paid for giving Marvel all their fresh ideas. Yeah, there's that too.
Yeah, there is a lot to say about that.
There are now a lot of hurdles in the way of people creating new characters and stuff for Marvel and DC.
Yeah, it's easier to create a franchise out of a character or a family. You know, Superman did that for years. You have the Superman family and animals. I think Marvel's at that point where they've become DC.
Yeah,
you know what
Silver
DC
Age
was
DC
25 years ago. Or
to me, it's like Silver Age DC is like the destiny of all successful corporate-owned comic book companies.
Yes,
you just keep rolling with your successes and making another version of them and another version and another version.
Yeah, because they can't be all that innovative after a certain point, I believe.
I don't think so. I think the structure doesn't allow for it. Doesn't allow for creators to come in and create new, because in order to get a new hit character, you got to create 100 characters for every hit character or something like that. So, I mean,
and the more hit characters you have, the harder it becomes.
Yeah.
So now you need 500. And maybe one will stick, but then it gets more difficult to spot the new hit.
See, that depends on what you mean by. I don't think the more hit characters you have, the harder it becomes in a creative sense. In that, I think if you have like 4 hit characters, it's easier to make a 5th hit character than for some other company to come up with 1 hit character.
Yeah, but you just call him Spider Dude.
Right, but See that there's the problem. I think you were right in terms of once you have those 4 hit characters, it's easy to just start making Spider Dude, Spider Girl, Spider Ham than it is to come up with a whole new. I think it's not. I don't know how to phrase this. My brain's not working right. It's not harder on paper to do it. It's harder in reality. Because there's the pull, it's the pull of making all those knockoff characters that makes it harder. It's not the fact that you have hit characters makes it easier to make another hit character on paper. In terms of because it's easier to have a hit character when you already have 100,000 people reading your character than it is when you have none. But when you have 100,000 people reading your character, your biggest draw is going to be make another version of that character. If that makes any sense. I have to wonder if the comic shop's complaining about sales. Are they stocking comic? Probably.
Probably not. Here's the thing that you don't hear too much about. You hear about the shops moving to manga or moving to Funko Pops. You don't hear about the shops moving to apparel.
No.
And maybe they should. I mean, it's something that can...
It's a whole other business. Like my comic shop just deals in comics. That's it. Yeah, they don't even deal in trade paperbacks and collected editions much.
Yeah.
Because it's just cheap. You know, they can sell them. Amazon can sell them for cheaper than they can get them wholesale. So it's like, and, you know, Amazon can get it to you in a day. So, and in the comic shop, if you want to order it through them, it might take 2 weeks for them to get it in, unless they order from Amazon.
Yeah, well, the apparel store, you can buy it if it's shirts.
Yeah,
shirt, because that's what you get at Disney stores.
Yeah. You know, my comic shop got in like a month ago for no particular reason I could see, except they were at a retail trade show. And they're like, we need something to put in the front of the store. They got this big display of rubber band guns. Wooden rubber band guns that shoot rubber bands.
Okay.
I was like, what? Like, we need something that's kind of cool. All right. Rubber band guns.
Wow. Okay.
I just found that weird. The Captain America shield shirt's all over here, and I never got why until I realized, like, cheap Walmart shirts, not really Captain America. So they're knockoffs, maybe, yeah. DC tried that with the recent New Age heroes. Total flop. That's just it. You can't... If you actually want to get new characters, I don't think you can do it by having one push for new characters every 3 years. You have to have a constant churn of new characters being created. And it's going to be a churn because most of them are going to fail.
Yeah.
And I think that's the only... I think like coming out with a line of new characters isn't ever going to work. Because first of all, they don't have Batman in them. I actually appreciated DC trying. I just don't know that that's the way to do it. Your shop is just some guy's hobby. Yeah, it is. That's why. It really is. It's because he's got a day job that he works there too. So it's different than other shops. It's how he buys stuff for his collection. My LCS has a small wall of T-shirts as you walk in the door. Not that he doesn't want his shop to pay the rent and make money, but every top in town has Funko sales going endlessly. Yeah.
Yeah, but how do they rise above each other if they're all doing the same thing?
Let's talk about a good comic. Let me show you a good new one I got.
Are there any good comics?
There are good, even though all modern comics suck. I don't like this name very much. Our Bones Dust. Not Our Bones Dust what? Our Bones Dust the mantelpiece?
Is there supposed to be an apostrophe there?
No.
But there should be.
Our bones turn to dust. Just our bones dust.
Maybe
dust
it's a weird haiku.
But it's by a guy named Ben Stenbeck, who I don't think I've heard of before, but this isn't the first thing he's done. Let me show you a little bit of the... I actually ended up picking this one off the shelf. I didn't buy it final order. I remember seeing it in the final order cutoff for my shop, but there's something about it I didn't like then. But I looked through it on the shelf. It was like, oh, it looks pretty cool. And it's another post-apocalyptic tale.
Yeah, but the art style looks. Can you show that again? I think.
Sure.
That thing kind of looked familiar in a sense. Okay.
There's a little bit of Mobius in it. Certainly in the purple color right there.
There's some hints of Jeff Darrow.
Some hints of Jeff Darrow.
Yeah.
And Steve Scroach. Like, it almost reminds me a little bit of that Shaolin
Cowboy.
The Shaolin Cowboy kind of a feel to it.
That's because the wide open spaces too. The Shaolin Cowboy takes place in the desert. But this right guy here is some alien on Earth, and Earth is like a wasteland, and there's some aliens down there like surveying it. Going, it really was hard to get a grasp on exactly what the story is going to be, but I liked it a lot. It was very fun. Like I said, Earth is a wasteland. These aliens are just kind of going around it, surveying stuff and taking samples. Meanwhile, you have these Earthlings down here trying to survive, and one group going after another group. And then we had some sort of killer alien bug who killed a whole bunch of the humans near the end, and now he might be, I really don't know the plot yet, but I liked the first issue a lot. It was good. I put it on my pull list already, even though the name is dumb. As a comma would help. Yes, it would. I looked at a couple of Christmas lists for men on the web, and rubber band guns was there. Wow, maybe they'll be selling. Oh, Steinberg, and it's Stenberg. No I. It autocorrect wanted me to do it Steinberg too, but Stenberg was the artist on Baltimore. Okay, that's a Hellboy thing, right? A bit like Brandon Graham, not quite as out there as Brandon Graham, but the aliens are kind of out there like Brandon Graham. But really good first issue, like I said, for those of you who don't, for those of you who think modern comics suck, you won't like this. But was a really good first issue. You know, when people say modern comics suck, they really mean modern comics of characters from my childhood. Cover A to Ben Stenbeck. I wonder what how many covers the average image book has these days. 3, I would guess. Just like Our Bones Dust. This says cover A on it. I wonder if it has, just like your average indie owned image books even have.
What is the cover price on that?
Cover price is $4. It's regular sized, $4 book. Like I said, good book. Enjoyed it a lot. Issue 2 available January 10th. Variant cover by Jeff Darrow and Dave Stewart. So I guess it's only got 2 covers. Our Bones Dust. I figured I'd start us off with a good new comic. Who knew such things existed?
Well, I have a secret for you about good comics. They've never been good.
Even the ones I like suck.
Even the ones I like. Because if I like them, there's got to be something wrong with them. I did make it into the comic book shop, but I didn't get to read any of them. Oh no, I read one. So what did I read? I read one that made me. The story didn't upset me. What upset me was reading the checklist in the back. So this is a Marvel comic. You may have heard of them. And so it's Amazing Spider-Man Gang War First Strike. John Romita Jr. cover. So it's issue 1. I put it on my pull list because nostalgia is the hell of the drug. I remember the Gang War series they did in the regular books. So I figured, okay, I'll pick it up, see what's going on. It's the #1 issue. I've been getting back into Spider-Man.
JR, solid artist.
Yes, on the cover. He did not do the interiors.
Oh, he didn't do the inside. Who did the insides?
No. The interiors were done by, oh, look at that. The first page actually has the people's names on it. Joey Vasquez with Julian Shaw is the artists.
Okay.
And is a Zeb Wells written story with Cody Ziegler. I never heard of Cody before. So a bunch of different cover artists. And it opens up with text instead of a splash page.
Who needs splash pages?
And then it opens up with a map in case you need to know who controls what in the city. Now, I have not really been caught up with what's going on in Marvel. So apparently the superheroes have been outlawed. And Luke Cage is the mayor of New York. And you have some gangs are trying to fill in the void because a character named Tombstone was taken out. Not necessarily dead, but was taken out. And then the gangs are getting together to try to figure out who's going to divvy up what's going on. And then, of course, someone gums up the works and it starts a whole gang war. And
is Spider-Man going to have to make it back to Coney Island?
Well, it does start off in the Bronx, funny enough. It starts off on Arthur Avenue in the Bronx. So the basic of the story is this gang war is starting. Superheroes were outlawed a while back, and Spider-Man is telling the new Mayor Cage that I have to stop this. I can't be waiting in the sideline. I'm just telling you now, superheroes are coming back. Okay, it's a good setup. If you're familiar with the characters, you are aware of who some of them are. Some of them are legacy characters. Some are new characters to me because I've been away from it for so long. And it was a solid read. What made me upset was the gang war continues next in Amazing Spider-Man issue 39. That's fine. But then it also says follow the war. And then there's a checklist.
Wow.
Which upset me. Because
you're not following that war.
It's to me, as I read the story, Gang War, the original series, crossed over the Amazing Spider-Man book, all the Spider-Man books. They had 3 or 4 titles back then.
Right.
And it stayed within the Spider-Man book. It started in the Spider-Man book. I guess, well, I know, being cynical, marketing has something to do with it because you have to read Amazing Spider-Man, Daredevil Gang War #1. So it's not even reading a Daredevil book. You have a one issue for that. So Miles Morales, Spider-Man #13. Okay, so it's in the regular Spider-Man book. Amazing Spider-Man, Deadly Hands of Kung Fu, Gang War 1. So he didn't have his own book. Now, granted, I would like this series because they're dealing with the New York street superheroes, right, which is one of the stories that I liked. If it was crossing over within their own books, if they had their own books, I would probably enjoy it more. But since they're printing out also maybe 3 or 4 miniseries of each of them, because I also see, I mentioned Daredevil Gang War 1, there's an issue 2. And there's an issue 3. and in issue 4. So there's 4 issues of a Daredevil book that are only for this gang war thing instead of being in the Daredevil books.
Wow.
I don't know what's going on inside Marvel anymore. I don't know if it was a decision where it's like what was going on in the Daredevil stories already. We can't fit gang war in here, or it's just a way to get an issue 1 out for Daredevil, Deadly Hands of Kung Fu, Luke Cage, Spider-Woman. Looks like she's getting her own issue too. But it looks like here Spider-Woman doesn't say gang war, so it looks like Spider-Woman is getting her own book.
Okay. Wow.
And it's like, so I saw the checklist, but I've seen larger checklists.
Right.
Also.
It's a pretty big checklist.
But this is still a pretty big checklist. And that upset me when I saw that, because it feels like homework. And this issue was $5.99.
Ah.
So are all those other books going to be $5.99? And that's why I asked you how much that book was that you showed earlier today.
Right.
Because I'm looking at I'm looking at the books in general, and the prices looks like Marvel is hitting that $5 target that they've been wanting for a long time. And the next Marvel book I have here is $4.99. So this one's this one's $5.99. The rest of them look like they're $4.99. And again,
you can say $5 and $6, by the way. You don't have to round it. Yeah.
So again, it's getting to the point where it's like they're I do not see how
for their penny tricks.
For their penny tricks. And it's like it was a good story. I enjoyed it. I just don't know if I want to try to get them all.
That's just like I was trying to decide. There was one comic, what is it? Something on Mars that I got the first issue of. A Haunting on Mars. That was it. I got the first. It's like a 5-issue mini. I got the first issue of it, liked it, but then when the final order cut, I was gonna put it on my pull list. But then when I got the final order cut off this week, I was just like, "That's a $5 book. Do I really like it? $5 worth?" And I went, I don't think so. And I ended up not putting. If it was a $4 book, it might have gone on automatically. But it was a $5. I'm like, if all the other books I like are $4, then I think a $5 book is one I have to especially like. I can't just think it's okay.
Right.
So price does play a factor. Definitely.
It definitely does. I'll be reading the books that I was normally getting anyway. They're on my pull list, the other Spider-Man books. Mm-hmm. I don't know if I would go searching for those one-shots because I am just using what has happened in the past. There have been plenty of times where you'll have a crossover event happen, and there'll be little mini-series within the crossover events, and 9 times out of 10, you can skip it because nothing really important ever happens in those books.
Right. And the one-shots are going to be like $6 or $7 one-shots too, right?
Yeah.
I would guess. And how are you tonight, Chris?
Good.
That's good. He's doing good. Let's see what our people are doing here. Read Disney Villains Maleficent with my daughter. Dynamite book. Issue 1, 50 covers. Wow.
Ooh.
Right.
That's a lot of covers. That'll drive the average up.
For Maleficent? Nobody cares that much.
Starting off where we left last week. Probably evening. I don't remember last week. My head's too clogged. I got 4 comics this week. The best one I read so far, Usagi Yojimbo, had 3 colors, 2 for order, 1 incentive. That seems about I think like indie books like Usagi, I think 3 covers might be normal now.
Mm-hmm.
Following that war would probably $200, $4,000 in Canadian money. Yeah, the gang war. Sounds like it would have been better to follow the movie The Warriors. Can you dig it? Yeah, Spider-Man has to make it back to Coney Island.
Make it back to Queens.
The thing, I'm not really sure if other writers are paying attention that superheroes are outlawed in New York. Nobody talks to each other. There's nobody minding the continuity.
Yeah. They could
I don't know. I haven't read enough of them to really know what's going on.
I mean, nobody else at Marvel cares that the mutants are all living in Krakoa.
Oh, they're no longer there.
I don't.
From what I understand, Krakoa is gone. They had some kind of big party, and all of a sudden, they destroyed what was happening in Krakoa. So,
But they always have a big party.
The mutants are gone. They're not on Earth. Don't know where they are, except for Nightcrawler, who's now with Spider-Man, by the way.
Right.
Franchises.
Well, there was another thing people were complaining about in the Marvel comics. Mystique's butt baby.
Mystique's what?
Butt baby.
Butt baby.
What does that mean?
Somebody tried to show Nightcrawler's birth, but instead of doing it like Alan Moore did in Miracle Man, they did it by not learning biology in 5th grade. Basically, it was ridiculous. I saw the picture. You could tell that the artist was clueless. Quite frankly,
I don't know. He may have been told to be clueless. We don't know.
Yeah, it's like that hasn't come across my feed. So
yeah, I have not seen that. But I know you. Sometimes things get art correct. I wonder how much gets art corrected these days. That's correct, Paolo. Who cares that much about Maleficent? After reading it, we care much less as well. Wow.
I think that the Disney property, that Dynamite was doing the Disney properties on their own, and everyone knows that if you want decent Disney stories, you have to order them from Italy or Denmark. Although I'm pretty sure that when IDW had the Disney license, they were reprinting Italian stories.
What are you working on tonight, Chris?
Just some commission stuff.
Commission stuff.
It's probably the exact same pieces I had last week.
Oh, the same. Someone's commissioning him to make drawings. Lovely.
What's the weirdest thing? Or that's
ever?
Out there? No, I mean that you're working on this time, because ever it could be tons of stuff.
Yeah, nothing really weird. I'm coloring up a John Constantine. Don't smoke, kids.
There we go. Another pretty good first issue that I got this week was Bloodkirk by Andrew Cranky, Krahnke. Cranky. It's a pretty interesting. I think there's only going to be 3 issues. But what was weird was, this showed up on my final order cutoff email that I get every week. So I was like, oh, I must have looked at it online and said, I'll buy the first issue of it. And usually what happens is I bought the first issue of it this week, and now on Wednesday, and now on Friday or sometime over the weekend, I got the email with the final order cutoff, and I can put the second issue on. But for some reason, the second issue of this showed up last week on my final order cutoff. I was like, I haven't even got the first issue yet. I don't know if I like it. So I didn't order it. I wonder if it'll show up again this week. But it's sort of Conan-esque, definitely a Conan influence. Mostly about this barbarian wandering around in the snow looking for food. That was pretty much the whole first issue. But it was well done. I liked the artwork. And there was an interesting little editorial from the artist and from the creator. He does the art and the writing in the back. Let's see. Oh, and there's also a shorter story at the end. There's 2 stories. There's the main story, and then there's a backstory, both by the same guy, same character, about him hunting a grouse. So it's like, oh, okay. Where is Oh, it's at the beginning. Oh, he did it in comic form. Now I remember. So he did his editorial in comic form, and it says, he's saying he first doodled this character in 2008. 10 years later, I put out the first Bloodkirk ash can. That's right, 10 years. I'm an illustrator first, writing is hard. 10 years of loose notes and rough drafts. 10 years of writing, rewriting, deleting, and false starts. 10 years of blank paper, no ideas, bad ideas, self-doubt, and giving up. 10 years of day jobs and freelance work. 10 years of getting by, paying bills and making rent. Time went fast. One day I looked up the original sketch and realized I had spent 10 years working with nothing to show for it. So I did the only thing I should think of. Said blanket and started again. So he finally decided that it was better doing something than nothing and put together Bloodkirk. And I think this first issue, minus the backup story, was the ash can he did back in 2017, did he say? Whenever he said it was, 2018. And now he's finishing the story. But it was well done. If I can order the second and third issue, I will. Bloodkirk. Oh, yeah, it's a wraparound cover. But another good modern comic. Can you believe it? I don't believe it. I'm making this all up.
But does that look good to stand on its own, or do you think the guy's trying to do a spec Conan story, trying to get hired?
I think it stands on its own. It's not really a Conan story. It's too thoughtful to be a Conan story. Because the whole time this big guy is kind of lost in the woods.
Okay, if it was a Conan story, he would have run into some demon and would have hacked it to death with the sword.
Eventually, he runs into a bear. And the
back of Conan, it would have been a demon bear birthed by a tree.
Yes,
and he
would hack it to death with the sword.
And the backup story was him once again hunting in the woods, and he draws his bow at a grouse, a bird, who then ducks behind a tree. And then he's, with his bowstring drawn, he's waiting for the grouse to pop his head up from around the tree. And it's about him being so, focused on the grouse. And he decided that now it's like, then a rabbit walks by, then a deer walks by. And he's like, he refuses to aim at them. He's waiting for the grouse. So it was an 8-page story of him holding the bow, waiting for the grouse to stick its head back around. So I don't know if you're trying out for a Conan story, there's probably better ways to do it. But it looks like, clearly that looks like Conan.
Mm-hmm.
But it's only 3 issues also, so.
Wait, it's not Conan though?
It's not Conan. Well, he was asking if I thought the guy was really trying out for a Conan story.
Right.
Or if it stood on its own.
No, for it to be a proper Conan story, as we mentioned, it would have to be a demon bear birthed by a tree. Who later you find out its mother is some witch that tries to seduce Conan. So, and extra points if she's topless. Then you know it's a Conan story.
If it's a Titan Conan story, it has to start out with the masthead of the company. I ended up not putting the Conan on my pull list just because of that.
Oh.
I don't know if Chris probably wasn't here for those. There's a new company publishing Conan. Titan Books over in England, right? They're from London.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I bought the first 2 issues. They got a guy who draws just like John Buscema drawing it.
He doesn't draw just like John Buscema.
He draws.
He merges the best aspects of John Buscema and Joe Kubert.
Yeah, that guy. He draws more like those 2 than anyone I've ever seen.
Because I have a French Tarzan that he did, and it does look like Joe Kubert Tarzan.
Wow. But anyway, I thought the comic was pretty good, but it didn't go on my pull list. One of the reasons was this: instead of having a splash page, when you open it up, there was the company masthead where the splash page should be. Not even the creator credits. The creator credits of the financial officer and everybody else who's in there. And I'm just like, what? Who does this? Who puts the company's masthead on the splash page?
Put it on the inside front cover like a normal person.
Inside front cover. That's fine.
Right. The masthead is where you put Stan Lee created.
Stan Lee presents. Isn't Dynamite publishing all the Disney books with multiple covers? Dynamite makes a lot of covers. They do. Nice. Hey, Lefty, the other Disney titles I've seen, they each have a boatload of covers. Not as extreme as the first Maleficent, but still way more than necessary. Yeah. He says book took him 10 years to get it. It took him 10 years of doing nothing to get out. I found that cartoon essay. Conan #5 changed artists. Wow.
Who's the new guy?
The only Titan comic stuff I picked up are the hard case crime related that they published. I picked up the Elric from them too, but it was only like 2 issues. Yet it is still a good book, regardless of the splash page. You're right about that. I mean, I'm not even saying it. It's just I think they were also $5 books too. I don't think they were $4 books. So it's like $5 books, and I'm getting annoyed by it. I'm sure they'll make a nice collected edition if I want to read it. What else did you get, Wilson?
I've also picked up, because I'm a sucker for nostalgia, their Secret Wars book. So they're doing a 4-issue limited series where they're revisiting some events that happened in Secret Wars.
So the artwork. New?
It's a new story.
Okay.
It's a brand new story. It is written by, I believe, Tom DeFalco, and artwork by Pat Olaf, but let me double check. Yep, Tom DeFalco is writing it. Pat Olaf is the artist. Colorist is John Calise. Am I saying that correctly? Kalis?
Yeah.
Letter
he's
by
been around
Joe
since
Commanda.
the 90s.
And let's see, they have various artists on the cover. They have variant covers. There's a bunch of them, at least 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Looks like 6 variant covers.
Wow.
And I have a fondness of Secret Wars. That's where I started collecting comics in the first place. So it's like, all right, I'll give it a try. So I was looking forward to that. And I picked up the cover that basically looks like the original Secret Wars, except for new costumes. But the characters are pretty much in the same.
That's where Wilson started, and I stopped.
Uh-huh. You had to leave for me to show up.
Yep.
So I picked up that. So I'm looking forward to that. I also picked up, and again, it's nostalgia, Transformers. So that's issue 3. This is done by, I believe it's Boom Studios.
And you haven't
Skybound.
You haven't read any of those Transformers yet?
I read the.
It was your brother who's waiting?
No, my brother read the first issue. I wanted to get like 3 or 4 of them together before I sat down and wanted to read them through. Because I know the first issue is going to be the usual setup of stuff. Right. So I wanted to like kind of get right into the story. What are these? Freebies, the previews catalog stuff. So I got the Marvel one and the DC one. And then, of course, I picked up the second issue of Justice League versus Godzilla versus Kong. Not only the regular cover, and I haven't opened this yet, but the special packaged one.
Oh.
What's in the package? The packaged one is they put a sound chip on it. So you can hear Godzilla, basically Godzilla's cry in it.
Oh, they get the Godzilla roar when you open it? Oh, that's cool.
So this is what's called the Sound FX variant. I I wasn't going to pick it up until I ran into Allison Gill at the Comic-Con, the New York Comic-Con.
Okay.
And she was so proud to get this manufactured.
Wow.
For those who don't know, Allison Gill was the manufacturing person at DC. She used to be at Marvel. She has retired, but she said before she leaves, she always wanted to get a sound effect comic made. And so there's two of them. So you have the Godzilla one, and then you have the King Kong one, and then they both will do their own sound.
So that's a DC book?
This is a DC book with Legendary Comics. They're doing a crossover. So it's DC and Legendary because they're both logos on the cover. But I think DC is the one that's really putting it together. And from what I understand, it's supposed to be a resealable bag.
It's probably resealable so that the cover doesn't keep going off.
I would assume so. I would guess so. So
that's probably why they packaged it like that.
So it does come open.
I did not see that at my shop.
And the thing is, too, is also a $15 book.
Yeah, I assumed it would be expensive. Oh, wow.
So there's a little hole in his mouth, which is where I guess the sound is coming out. And I don't know if it's light activated or if opening activates it. And then there's one that King Kong has the sound with it as well. But I didn't pick that one up because I already popped $15 for this one.
Yeah.
I'll wait for the other one for next week.
So
I'm looking forward to reading these.
That is, I noticed there was another Godzilla Rivals out this week that I saw. I didn't get it.
I didn't see that one.
Mecha Godzilla, maybe was it?
Most likely.
Yeah.
Because Rivals are basically the one shots that are basically giving you a big story of those monsters. I would assume by the end of it there'll be a big event type of thing. Sticking with the giant monsters, King Kong, The Great War. I forget who's publishing this one because Kong is technically in the public domain, or the book is, which is this is Dynamite. So this is one of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 covers.
Wow. I wonder what the average Marvel or DC comic has cover-wise these days. Do you think it's up around 6?
I've seen them at least. Usually, when I've been picking up like the Spider-Man books, I've seen about 3 on the shelf, and then sometimes 2 others behind the counter because they're the higher price. So I've been seeing at least 3 artists, a black and white one, and maybe a foil one. But I don't know what exactly is their setup for that. I just grab the regular cover that appeals to me, and I move on. I can't. I can't get the multiple covers.
Do even like DC and Marvel's lower selling books get multiple covers? I wonder. Because I don't really pay attention to them.
I don't know. Today I was looking at. I was surprised that the reprints are getting multiple covers. Like I didn't pick it up, but I saw that there was either a detective or Batman comic.
Right, they're getting foil covers now.
Yeah, they're getting foil covers.
The facsimiles,
and then sometimes a sketch cover.
Right, I picked up the Hulk 181 foil facsimile just to have a sample of one of them.
Mm-hmm.
But they're expensive. They're not. I mean, especially those DC ones. Those facsimiles of the Golden Age stuff are expensive. They're like $7, $8 books to begin with. And with the foil cover, they're like $8, $9 books. I'm like, oh, no, thank you.
Yeah.
See what we got here. Conan Team, written by Jim Zub, art by Doug Braithwaite and Diego Rodriguez. I know those two they did a lot of Valiant work 10 years ago or so. They're pretty good. A sound chip in comics. We talked about that years ago. Yeah.
I think Braithwaite already did something on Conan way back then, didn't he?
I have not seen Godzilla -1 yet. I do plan to see it, but I have not gone out to see it.
I guess I'm spending $15 or $100 Canadian. Wilson, did you see the new Godzilla movie yet? Nope.
I have not seen it yet. No.
This week, Fantastic Four had 3 covers. X-Men
Wilson.
had 6 by my count. Yeah.
Wilson,
Yes, Chris.
did you
What's
see
up, my friend?
Godzilla -1 yet?
I have not.
Okay.
But I have a whole shelf of Godzilla. Well, not a shelf. My box is full of Godzillas today. Moving things around.
Everything gets multiple covers. I just wonder how many is like average. How else are they going to sell those things? Because I think even like I said, this Bloodkirk. I guess this only has 1 cover because it doesn't say cover A on it. But maybe it's I think even like your little indie Image Comics gets like 3 covers sometimes these days. Like Our Bones Dust had 2, I think it was. So it's like even these little, and I think that depends upon the actual creators because it's the creators who pay for the alternate covers. Like if you want Jeff Darrow to do an alternate cover for Our Bones Dust, Image Comics doesn't pay for that. Ben Stenbeck does. So I guess it's up to them. But I don't know who makes it. Do you think there's a person at like Marvel and DC who every month decides how many covers a book's gonna get?
I think so.
No, I think it just happens, and they just look around and they're like, "Wow, I was kind of surprised. That's pretty cool."
Yeah,
yeah. I don't.
You would
I
think
don't
the
think
rest
it's an editorial. I don't think it's an editorial decision.
Yeah, I wonder who makes that decision. Is it a group? Is it one? Can you slip extra covers in there? I don't know how it's budgeted. What the mechanism is for extra covers.
But I know
Good morning here from Malaysia. I still prefer De La Torre on art for Conan. He's a spinning image of John Buscema. And we just discussed this a moment ago. And Joe Kubert mixed in there too. Yeah, his stuff is good. The lack of posters for some of these covers seems like leaving money on the table for Marvel and DC. I think they should publish a covers book. Like I know Opus, who did the Death Dealer, who's doing the Frank Frazetta books. They published a book of the Frank Frazetta covers, not even a book, a comic, which I ended up getting. It's like I actually, if Marvel or DC put a book of like 100 covers out for $5 each month, I'd probably get that. There's a better chance I'd get that than the comics. But no one's ever thought of it there, I guess, and getting it approved.
It's been suggested. Like I've talked to them, and they said, "Oh no, we tried that. It didn't work."
I don't know when they tried that.
That was the response. Well, they didn't try it.
Yeah.
No, they referred to like a hardcover, like an oversized hardcover,
okay.
Not the format, not the same.
Right.
Well, we're talking about each page, one cover.
Right.
You just flip it. That's it.
Yeah, you're just looking at covers.
Yeah, they've not tried it, but they think they have. And
yeah, I pitched that. I can, one of these days I got to sit down, write down all the stuff that I pitched for them to do when I was at Marvel. I would bother Ski about it because I would go into his office and, we should do this. And it's like, no, that won't sell, or we can't do that. And it's like, all right, well, how about this? And it's like, nope. And it's like, do you need a department to do it? Just give me a scanner. We have the artwork just sitting in my room. And it's like, I try to pitch a all cover book, a all corner box art.
Yep.
A book of nothing but the corner box art.
They recently put out a book of all the those things you clip, value stamps. They put out a value stamp book.
Did they?
Yeah, that's sort of or somebody else licensed it from Marvel.
Mm-hmm. Pitched the
What is a value stamp?
That's the thing that's ruined many an issue of Hulk 181. Where in the 70s...
that's very clear.
In the 70s, Marvel put in some of their books Marvel value stamps, which were just little like stamps you could cut out and collect. And people did cut them out and collect them. So now there's a whole bunch of Hulk 181s missing their Marvel value stamp. Much to the chagrin of many a collector.
And sometimes you don't even know the stamp is missing until you open up the book.
Yeah.
Because, people are buying and selling books in places like eBay. They bought the book years ago, never knew the stamp was missing, might resell the book without knowing that the stamp isn't there. And where they place the stamp, sometimes they'll place the stamp on a page that, the next page was an ad, so you didn't have to worry about it. Other times it was part of the story. They sold a comic book that you could put the stamps into.
Right.
So you cut the stamps out of one book and put them in another book.
Paste them in the other book. They even made something like in the second wave, the stamps were like puzzle pieces. In that, like 6 stamps made up one image. In the first wave, each stamp was an individual character. I had a weird Marvel dream the other night. I dreamt I was back working at Marvel, except it was a hip, young, new company. And they did things hip, young, and new way. And I had no idea everybody was just going around doing stuff. I had no idea what I was supposed to do, what they expected of me. And I'm like, and people are like, hey, yeah, man, do this. Hey, yeah, man, we're doing this. Hey, yeah, man, we're doing this. I'd be like, well, what am I supposed to do? And then the afternoon, we shifted over and had to pack ice cream. All of a sudden, I'm getting a scoop. I'm packing ice cream in a container going, we have to do this at 3 every afternoon? Yeah, this is a packing ice cream time. Sending them out. I was like, okay. That's all there was to the dream. It was very weird.
Disney Dairy.
Maybe it reminds me of the time where they were toying with the idea of like, maybe we should stop making comics and make Band-Aids.
They should pack ice cream.
I want to hear more of that. What are you talking about?
So sometime when we were at the second office, the talk came down about, this is back when they were buying companies like they were Panini, and they bought a company that had something to do with rulers, plastic rulers.
Yeah, Panini, they bought them earlier than that.
Yes, and then there was the idea of like, I don't know who was looking into it, but I remember it came down the pipeline is that they were looking into possibly manufacturing Band-Aids. And it's like, oh, you mean licensing our characters onto Band-Aids? It's like, no, just making Band-Aids altogether. It's like, why shift the manufacturing to something like that? And it was just one of those ideas that someone upstairs was looking into.
It wasn't in addition to comics. It was instead of.
It was instead of. That was the conversation. It was instead of. We should switch over to this instead.
We can make a lot more money making Band-Aids than making comics.
Mm-hmm.
Marvel offers 4 covers as posters in the back of every pre-order book they've had out each month. Generally, one is Alex Ross. Oh, look at that. I guess they do offer posters. Looks like there's a series Peach Momoko Nightmare variant covers across Marvel currently. Oh, okay. Yeah, they usually have a one variant a month that has nothing to do with the books, but has to do with the artist or some theme.
Yeah,
Shout out to ETA Nick, who after years of digging completed a value stamp book. Oh, that's right. I remember that. He did. He got the original value stamp book and got all the value stamps out of the original book. I cut out so many value stamps. I never cut out any. But they were a little before my time. But it's
with sleepy readers, icon of a crying Vision, saying that I cut out so many.
It goes with his picture so well.
It does go with his picture.
See, now that's a pop art T-shirt. The Vision with big dots crying and saying, "I cut out so many value stamps."
That dream sounds like a bad idea to me. Making ice cream in the afternoon.
An ice cream sandwich in the afternoon.
Ice cream sandwich.
And that will spoil your dinner.
Yeah. You'll shoot your eye out.
I have a Christmas dinner tomorrow. For
Christmas dinner? A little early for that.
Oh no, it's the one that when all the offices and friends making and neighbors making Christmas dinners.
I know nothing about when all the offices in France do anything. Let's get that out of the way first.
That's because they don't tell you anything.
All the offices in France.
Yes, as an American, I didn't even know they celebrate Christmas in France.
No, offices and the friend you get together with your friends. They have different Christmas dinners. Offices and friends. They have offices and friends. Oh, I didn't say they work there. They just have offices.
Oh, and I realized I showed you that Michael Golden Artist Edition before.
Mm-hmm.
That's the first one of those I've bought since 2017. I was like, whoa. I got one last year gifted to me. And I borrowed a couple of friends' ones to make video. That's the first one I've actually bought in 6 years. I was like, wow, that seems like a longer time than I would have guessed.
Mm-hmm.
Or not
I've
buying
been trying
an
to remember exactly what was the first Michael Golden I saw.
Good question.
Marvel Fanfare issue number 1.
Yes, I think it was that because the Brazilians published the Marvel Fanfare story before they published Micronauts or the Avengers Annual.
Oh, they have the there's a book I've had since the early 80s called The X-Men Companion.
Mm-hmm.
Came out
that sounds kind of woke.
At the height of the X-Men years, maybe a little right about the height of the Byrne years, probably 1981 or so. And it was, now they do it as a website. Then they did it as books and comics. So it was like all these interviews with the X-Men guys, art, and Michael Golden did the cover for it. Is it the cover of that right there? But it's one of the fold-outs in the book too, so it was twice up. But just wow, it looks really nice printed there. That X-Men Companion cover, amongst so many others. His covers are really nice, and he did a lot of redlining in his artwork. And for those who don't know, redlining was a coloring production technique where usually back in those days, in the days of hand coloring and separations, every color had to be enclosed within a black shape. So it's like if you wanted a color to sort of end in the middle of a color without a black line or black shape, you had to draw where you wanted it to stop with a red pen and then tell the printer to strip that red pen out. So it didn't get done. I think it might have cost extra too. I'm not 100% sure about that. But since it's extra work for the printer to do, I imagine redlining the color might cost extra. But Michael Golden did it quite a bit.
Yeah, he was definitely one of those artists who knew the production of a book.
Right.
He knew what it went through, and he used the limitations to his advantage. Because I've seen him do stuff on comics that looks almost like it's from an animation cell. A lot of his GI Joe covers, that because he colored himself, he knew what colors to use to make things pop.
Yeah, you knew the process. Offices in France, we all know they don't work there. Paulo is the new Roy Lichtenstein. Is Michael Golden active doing covers or interiors? He must be in his mid-70s, right? He's he still does stuff. He still goes to all the cons. I know he does that. I don't know how much cover. I don't know how much actual. If he's doing anything, it's probably still covers. But I know he's still out there at the cons with Renee Witterstatter. I follow him
recently.
What was that?
Yeah, they're at the cons, and well, let's say that he did a there's an exhibit of some basically of George Washington in comics type of motif, and he did like a poster for that fairly recently because they had an opening during the New York Comic Con.
Okay, yeah, I know. I don't know if I haven't seen any of his latest work, but I know he's drawing stuff at cons, or whenever he's at a con, he's drawing stuff. Any more Painted Jacket fans on the street, Jared? Oh, this week, a woman at Secaucus Junction stopped me to tell me how much she liked my new Painted Jacket. So there was one person, I think. I can't remember if anyone else. I don't think anyone else stopped me this week. All-time favorite comics of mine, Nam and Spartan Egg. Yeah, the Nam, they've got some pages of in there, including covers that are just really nice. Really nice stuff. By the way, any update on James Harren, Paul Pope, Paulo Rivera? Are they still doing new comics? James Harren, didn't I just get something by him? And I didn't know who he was? Darn it, I can't remember. I think it may... Paul Pope, I don't know if he's doing anything new. I haven't seen anything by Paul Pope in a while.
Mm-hmm.
But James Harren, I think he did something I got last week, didn't I? The name sounds familiar only because it's new to me. And then Paulo Rivera.
I haven't seen him in a while, but that doesn't mean anything.
I don't think I've seen him in a while either. Who am I thinking of? Who did well, what was that? The Black Beetle? Was that a Rivera? Was that Paulo? For Dark Horse, he did a lot of covers. He did something called the Black Beetle. Did Daredevil, I think. I can't remember what his name is now. My brain's all sinus medicined up.
I thought you were talking about Clarence.
Clarence?
The Eddie Murphy character who claimed to be the fifth Beatle.
Nope. Do not know. And if anybody wants to do a Penn Station survey, there you go.
No, we don't.
This is just sitting on my... I think Wednesday night when I got home not feeling well, I just threw it on my desk, and it's been sitting here ever since on my drawing table. But I haven't been doing any work since then. It's just stayed here. Franco Villa. That's who I'm thinking of. Francesco Francavilla. I don't know why I was confusing Paulo Rivera with Francesco Francavilla, but in my mind,
because they're both Italian, but they don't have similar styles.
I think Pope has had some Me Too controversy lately. When I went to see if he had anything new. Oh, okay, I didn't know that. Ultra Mega by James Harren seems like it's on hiatus.
I haven't heard of those titles.
Last book by Riviera that I bought, Valiant, I think. Oh, did he do The Valiant? Was that him? Who did The Valiant? I can't remember, but that was nicely drawn. Yep, Francavilla. Yeah, that's what I was thinking of. Francesco Francavilla.
Francavilla. It's Italian. It's not Villa.
Francavilla.
Francavilla.
Francavilla. My brain and my mouth are not in sync. I'm saying stuff I don't even know what I'm saying. I'm like, huh? What did I say? I think I just repeated Paulo, but I'm not 100% sure.
And we will keep repeating ourselves.
I could have said anything right then. Wouldn't know.
Let's do a Monty Python sketch. I'll say something and you repeat it in the form of a question. Then I will answer.
Yeah, that was him. And it was written by Lamar. Okay, that's where I know him. Yeah, that was some nicely done stuff, the Valiant. I remember liking that. And Valiant is now published by somebody else.
Oh,
who was it?
I forget the name.
Berserker, someone. Oh, and I got a comic in the mail this week. Where is it? The Sickness #3. If you remember the saga of The Sickness #2, this is the book I subscribed to from Uncivilized Books. And I think it was like the writer sending out the books. And like my issue 2 didn't come until like 2 months late. And they said they've got a new fulfillment service now, so it should be there before it hits the comic shops. And sure enough, here's The Sickness #3, which I really enjoyed. More than I enjoyed the first 2 issues, maybe because I know what it's about more now. And they gave a nice little, they also have this, came in this bag with the resealable part, which I never could stand these resealable bags. They gave a recap of it on the back. And I was like, okay. 1945. As Daniel's sickness mounts, he is conflicted by his family's dark past and his newfound fear of atomic war. Having no agency over his life, the teenager tries to regain control no matter the cost. All the while, the man grows ever closer. And the man is, you don't know who the man is, but you assume he's causing the sickness in these 2 guys. 1955, George progresses in his research, discovering more clues about the sickness. However, his attempt to take matters into his own hands is halted by an untimely death. Paranoia and obsession begin to cloud George's thoughts as he's left to wonder if the sickness continues to spread. And I got to say, this was the best issue of the 3 so far in terms of sort of it coming together for me. Maybe it was the sinus medicine. I don't know. But
you have to be sick to read it.
Good stuff. But you know what's funny, talking about multiple covers? One of the reasons I subscribed to this was just to kind of try it out. These are $6 issues, and they're 32 pages full of comics. And I think the subscription was $30 for either 5 or 6 issues. And if you're among the first 200, you got all 5 covers of the first issue. So I'm like, all right, I'm going to get all 5 covers of the first issue, which I did. Now, even though I don't collect multiple covers, I don't know what, it's just that collector's bug. Now I see there's like multiple covers for the different printings of the first issue. And I'm like, ooh, I should get those too. I'm like, why? Why in a million years?
That's how they get you.
But still, that collector's part of your brain.
Mm-hmm. Got to get them all.
Makes you go, ooh, I could get them all. The sickness drove Chris away. James Harren did Ultra Mega from Image. Yeah, I think that's I cannot for the life of me remember what book I bought either last week or the week before that I think he drew, because I was like, who's James Harren? And everybody's like, oh, he did Ultra Mega or something. But I don't remember. Hot book on my shop this week. Godzilla book that when you open it roars. Hot book in Wilson's studio tonight too. You missed it earlier. See that? The hot book this week was the Godzilla roar. Hold on. $50 book.
Right here.
Hola, Damien. Hola, Gorvina. I picture man-sized children at your store, Gore. Hey, who doesn't like a Godzilla comic that roars? Come on now. That's sleepy. There you go. Gore Vidal is mad that his comic book doesn't roar. He'd buy a Creepax comic that roared, that's for sure. Or moaned like a woman. Slap it so it never roars again. Please.
Or you can theoretically you can replace that sound, can't you? You should be able to put something else.
Facts. Jared understands me.
They would theoretically should be able to take it apart and replace the battery.
It would take some doing.
It would
replace the sound.
You can the sound chip.
Probably could replace the sound chip.
You can put somebody singing "Country Roads" in it.
Yeah,
totally worth it.
Sound chip if you knew how. There's some hacker somewhere could do that in 20 minutes.
Oh yeah, you could change it for a Batman book and say "Love that Joker."
Yeah.
and get the sound from the Batman movies. It's going to be a matter of time. This is going to be the new alternate covers. We had the foil covers, then we're just going to have sounds.
No, DC's coming out with some scratch and sniff covers.
And Marvel did that for Beavis and Butthead. No, Ren and Stimpy. That's old news.
There'll be more of them out. I think they're not calling it scratch and stiff. Oh, that blew out my headphones. Whoops. Sound comics seem like a 90s thing. Like a farting Ren and Stimpy comic would have sold 4 million if the tech was then. Ren and... Yes, like the... I just saw Rick Parker post something. So it's almost like the 40th anniversary of the... Or the 30th anniversary of the Beavis and Butthead comic that he did. I was like, whoa. Time flies.
What were you like?
Whoa. Time flies. Whoa, man. Whoa. Whoa. Now I can't stop. And I've got Take Me Home Country Roads going through my head too, by the way. Thanks to Paolo's suggestion. To the place where I belong. Oh, I better not sing because I can't sing. I'll blow out your headphones for sure.
Plus, the show would have to pay royalties.
Godzilla with porn sounds. Trades and Stormwatch comics this week for huge TMNT. No one asked for Stormwatch until James Gunn announced the engineer will be appearing in Superman. Yeah. I mean, Stormwatch originally was my favorite of the Image team books that came out back when, who was doing it? Brandon Choi and maybe Jim Lee or whoever else took over from him. That was like my favorite of those. And then I stopped buying it because Ron Lim was drawing it. And then Warren Ellis and who was it? Tom Rainey took it over, and I started reading Stormwatch again, and it was a lot of fun. But yeah, you're right. No one cared about it. Traded in Stormwatch. I still have all my Stormwatch comics. Stormwatch Team Achilles. DC Scratch and Sniff Harley Quinn years back. Oh. Any Read, Rip, and Slab? Yeah, I got some for you. I made a few new ones up. Have you disguised the best comics of 2023 so far? We have not. I'll have to look at it. Sing the Bandit from Smokey and the Bandit, Jared. Eastbound and down, roll it up and truck it. You guys want to do a Read, Rip, and Slab?
Sure.
Let's see what I got here. What do we have? You know what? Let's go 1974 super stuff. That's what I feel like. Present, share screen, window. There we go. 1974 super stuff. We got Superboy 203 and the Legion of Superheroes. We got Superman 277. We got Action Comics 437, 100 pages.
For only
that's your most reading for sure.
Hmm.
I usually wouldn't put 100-pager up against, non-100 pagers, but I wanted all the Superman stuff.
Okay, so I'm going to read Superboy and the Legion because it's Superboy and the Legion.
Yeah.
And that's valid. That's valid. So, a Fatal 5 story is always good. I'm going to rip Superman. That guy deserves to die because he's an idiot. I'm going to Clark Kent. I'm going to prove you're Superman. No, that's Superman's going to let you die just to protect his secret identity. And I'm going to slap the 100 pager because nobody expects a 100 pager to be slapped. But I kind of like all the heroes coming out of the cover.
I'm going to read the 100-pager because that's 100 pages of reading.
Well, yeah.
There's more bang for your buck that way. So I'm going to read that one. I'm going to rip Superman. I kind of agree with you on that. That guy is doing a trick Lois Lane did decades beforehand, so he's not even doing anything new. And then read Legion of Superheroes. Slab Legion of Superheroes. Just because of that creature on that cover.
Yeah.
I forget his name, but he usually has a giant brain.
Yeah.
Let's see what we got here. We got Slab Legion. I can speak. Rip Superman. Read Action from War. Then we got Slab Legion. Read Super and Rip Action. Dolphin Guy Falling. Slab Action. Read Legion of Superheroes. Rip Superman. Am I the only one who's going to slab that Superman? Read Action, slab Superboy, rip Superman, Dolphin Superman on each cover.
Since we have some new viewers, we should explain the Dolphin.
Oh yeah, we'll explain. Is Falling Guy on Superman cover Stan Lee?
Yes.
We'll explain the Dolphin for our new. We've expanded our read, rip, and slab game, which is like F, marry, kill, into we were informed by Paulo that on certain comic book covers, the French Comics Code would not allow a woman to be in a certain position. So you can't have a man holding a woman across his arms on a comic book cover. So on an Aquaman cover, Aquaman was holding Mira across his arms, and they replaced Mira in France with a dolphin.
Yes, that is true. I'm not making it up.
So now we I'll show you the cover after this for people who haven't seen it before. So now we randomly replace a character with a dolphin. And the other thing we did, I was reading a comic just this summer. What was the name of it? I can't remember now.
Worlds? Oh, damn.
I'm going to have to look at what comic it is now.
I don't remember what issue.
In the comic, there was lots of strange stuff happening, including he would occasionally draw flamingos in there. They were on this weird post-apocalyptic Earth world, and there was like an atomic explosion going on, and there are flamingos just hanging out watching the atomic explosion. So now we put flamingos on covers too, but they don't replace anything. They get added in.
Flamingos are like the watchers. They're just there to watch. I would replace again, I forget the name of the villain on Legion of Superheroes, but I would put Validus.
Yes.
Validus.
The Fatal 5.
I would replace him with the dolphin. And I would have the flamingos on the Superman sign watching this guy fall to his death.
No.
I'm going I'm going to replace Invisible Kid with the Dolphin because the Dolphin would stand out more than Invisible Kid is doing. And just because your name is invisible doesn't mean you have to just sit there in the background.
Yeah.
And I'm going to put the flamingos on the falling guy's arms.
I was thinking that too. Read
That's-
Superboy, Rip Superman, slab action, Dolphin the Falling Man, shocked flamingos looking at the screen too in Superboy. Slab Legion, read action, trash Superman. I'm the only one who's slabbing Superman. Dolphin,
like
the
it.
finger of the guy in purple on the Legion. He's got a dolphin finger.
Yeah. Well, see, you understood the game. You're
Dolphin Validus. I'm going to slab Superman because I love that cover. Sure, it's dumb, but that's what I love about it. Which means it'll be too much effort to rip up Action Comics because it's 100 pages. So I'm going to have to read that and therefore rip the Legion of Superheroes.
Oh, I'm also going to tell Tim.
I'm going to dolphin. I'm going to dolphin that. I guess it's a remote control that Superboy is looking at. So he's going to be looking at a glowing dolphin that's blowing things up. And I'm gonna put a flamingo right on top of that pink skull on that Legion of Superheroes. That top of his pink head will be standing a pink flamingo cut out over the super. So he'll be looking down at all the action from his high vantage point on top of what was his name? Valadius's skull? Validus. The more I look at that Superman cover, the more it amuses me. Did Chris go? What's he going to do?
Who cares what I think?
Oh, Chris doesn't care.
No.
Say no one cares what I think.
We have to commission Chris to draw the French Aquaman cover.
Oh, yeah. That's what we need to do.
I want to read the 100-pager. I believe Wilson had said, yeah, because that's 100 pages you get to read. Looks like there's a lot going on. I agree with Wilson.
He doesn't agree with me that it's just too hard to rip.
That's a good point, too.
That was my point for reading it.
I think I could do it.
Probably.
I think I could do it. You just don't start with the spine. You start.
I'm going for low effort now, because I'm not at about 100%.
Let's see. Rip. Man, I don't know. See, it's too hard. This game's too hard.
It is not easy.
What if imagine if I get it wrong? I'll never live it down.
You can never get it wrong. That's the point of the game. All of the answers are correct.
Oh, you know what?
Yep.
There you go.
That's a pretty great job of it.
That is not Photoshop. That is the cover to Aquaman #1 in France.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great job of replacing.
I'm obsessed with the dolphin cover because all of the awesome Dayglow covers. Captain Lobster holding a dolphin while a flamingo watches it. Yeah, that's why we dolphin things right there.
Ooh, better. Officer Lobster Claw holding the dolphin like the Elf safety seal cover, and the flamingo is watching. The flamingo likes to watch.
Have the comic Toms of the world caught up on the dolphin cover? I don't know who the comic Toms of the world are, but I don't think anyone's caught on to the dolphin cover but us. Do you know what's on the cover of Aquaman #1 in France? Yeah. We don't know what they do in their offices, but we know what they do on their comic book covers. Wonder who... Paolo, do you have Alf in your country?
Yes, I watched it when I was a little kid. We didn't have the cartoon the cartoon show, but I did watch it on satellite TV. You remember the cartoon show where Alf was on the fairy tales?
Have you guys ever collected any of those DC 100-pagers? Because I never have.
I've only would find them in the dollar bins, and I would pick them up just to have them. Right. It wasn't like I didn't really go out of my way to find them.
I would occasionally run across one.
Yeah, whenever I come across one, and it's like, oh, it's a pretty cheap price. I just pick it up just to pick it up.
The one that I remember from when I was a kid, that I think I still have somewhere, I may have bought a new copy of it, was, I forget what issue of Batman Family it was, but they take on Benedict Arnold. And I was a fan of comic books, and I was a fan of history. I read all of these. They used to have biographies for children of historical figures in my local library, and I would always read those. So I was just thrilled to see two of my interests. Even though I wasn't a fan of DC Comics, I loved that one Batman Family comic because it had Benedict Arnold in it. How goofy is that?
The only thing I know about Benedict Arnold was what I learned from the Brady Bunch.
Alf had two cartoons. His other one had a great intro song. Who was it? Peter, who had to play Benedict Arnold in the school play?
He had to play him in the play, and the kids could not divorce themselves from the notion of Peter and Benedict Arnold being two completely different people. And they treated him like he really was Benedict Arnold. They were so angry at him for being a traitor to the country.
School kids.
Yeah.
Didn't they put a scene in the end of the play where he regretted betraying his country?
You know that old ladies in Portugal go after actresses who play villainesses in soap operas in the street? How can you be so mean? I'm not a villainess. I just play one on TV.
I remember hearing in the 80s that actors who did reenactments on Unsolved Mysteries carried cards with them to say they're an actor on Unsolved Mysteries because people would report them as they saw the criminal. I don't know if that's true or just apocryphal, but I remember reading or hearing that.
I remember hearing that where they had to carry something just to give to the police that they were reenactors.
Did you design the trade dress Bad Idea, Jared? Is that a different job? That's a different job. And there's really not much of a... Well, I guess there's a logo. I inherited the Bad Idea logo. And there's not a ton of trade dress on it besides the logo. Usually the names on the covers. But yeah, someone else did that. Oops. Donna Mills, who played the husband stealing Abby on Knots Landing, had the same problem, Paolo, in real life. Women were angry with her for stealing husbands.
Yeah, because the usual audience for soap operas, it's like they have a hard time telling reality from fiction, which is kind of funny because they only watch stuff that's supposed to be realistic. That's what my grandma used to say. How can you watch that? That nobody has foreheads like that when she saw a Klingon on TV because I was watching Star Trek. I don't know. It's not like I think this is real.
And besides, Klingons didn't have foreheads. They just had large foreheads.
Another comic I got this week, Petrol Head #2. Really good. I really like the art on this one. It's very pretty. This is the one about the robot car racing, though there's no more car racing. But there is a robot racing a car, driving a car. Where we go? There we go.
Okay. Oh, God.
And the drones in the city out to get them. I won't go through the whole weird setup this has, but it's futuristic. There's a robot and a scientist trying to get away from the powers that be, who want to go get them. And it's got real pretty art. This is the second issue. It's on my pull list now. I wonder how many covers. This is cover A. I wonder how many covers it has. Does it tell us? It's by story by Rob Williams. Art, letters, and graphic design by Pi Par. PYEPARR. And I got to say, I don't know what it is with comic book companies and their indicias when you do like red on pink lettering. Can you even see that there?
Mm-hmm.
It's like, how is this your legal notice?
I don't see it at all.
Yeah, let me make it bigger, just in an effort to. But at least it's better than the masthead on the splash page. There it is. Oh my goodness, you can't even see those little lines. That's the indicia. Over here is the masthead. And I'm like, this must be like 4-point type at biggest. I mean, what's the point of having the indicia on your comic if no one can read it? It's just weird. Mm-hmm. It's like people don't care. But it's just very nice and pretty. There's a nice pretty.
If I were a regulator, I would just find them in principle.
Oh, and look, it says Merry Christmas on it. I didn't even notice that. But yeah, good comic. Another good new comic I found. How could that ever happen? I don't know. Petrol Head. Let's see. The postal worker knows I ship art. When I sent yours, Jared, she asked, and I said a dolphin holding a dolphin. She hasn't asked since. Hold on, where did I put that? Right around here somewhere. I just saw it. Darn it. Oh, well, I'll have to find it for next week. It's right here at my fingertips somewhere, but my brain won't remember exactly which pile of art it's in. That's not a 4-head. That's a 5-head. Very nice art and colors, yes. The color is brighter than I would think that something as a cyberpunk, steampunk feel would have. Yeah, definitely. It's definitely brighter colors than that, because than robots racing cars. I guess it's got a sort of commercial car racing brightness to it, a shiny robot thing, rather than a steampunk robot. Maybe it's just that all the robots we see these days are steampunk.
Why you design a robot as steampunk?
Yeah. I got cock blocked by that shitty painting. Dolphin holding a dolphin. Now the lady doesn't flirt with him anymore. She thinks he's a weirdo painter. Should have said kittens.
Dolphins.
Some very cute kittens.
We were going through all those Superman books. One of the ones I forgot to show that I picked up is the second issue of Superman 78.
Ah.
So it's the continuation of the movie Superman in his world where he's meeting up with facing off with Metallo. So this particular story, it's called The Metal Curtain, and it basically has Russia steals the suit from the military and the shenanigans that happen from there. So according to the indicia on this one, or the credits page, it looks like you have the regular cover and the variant covers are at least 3 variant covers from the credits.
Wow.
Although I didn't see any of these with variant covers on it. But it looks good.
Yeah.
Looking forward to it.
What do you think what's a Marvel or DC comic that you wouldn't think would get a variant cover? I'm trying to think of some of their other books that are out there. I keep trying to think, but nothing happens. Like not a Spider-Man or Batman or
no, because the Spider-Mans are all getting variant covers, and you even have covers that are nothing to do with the character. You have the Disney 100 covers where they're recreating.
Oh, that's right. Yeah,
they're
and
recreating
the Peach Momoko ones I got mentioned before.
Yep, those as well. But they're recreating cover images with the Disney characters on it.
Right. So a low selling book might get one of those just because.
Just to bump up the sales, maybe, yeah.
Interesting. Alpha Flight number 5 came out last week. Looks like 2 variant covers for that. Yeah, that might be like Alpha Flight's got to be a lower selling book. Alpha Flight number 5. So maybe around 3 is standard for even the lower selling books. A free preview comic might not have a variant. Yeah. Hey, cool kids. Have you been good boys? Only 15 days till Christmas. Get some toys. Others get coal. Cool kids like us get comics. We do. I have them on my Amazon wish list. Metal curtains? You sure that isn't a female robot's vagina?
Not in this issue. See, here's and the catalog or the free previews. You got X-Men number 1 with the Disney characters.
Ah, okay.
So I'm trying to see if the catalog says how many covers the books are having. Spider-Punk number 1. Looks like they're advertising 3 covers. Night Thrasher number 1. It's time to trash the night. Has 3 covers that they're showing.
Wow, so number 1 and it only has 3 covers? I expect at least 10 from any number 1 these days. From Marvel.
Oh, wait, no, I'm sorry. They're only showing 3 covers here. But according to the ad itself, it has the regular cover, a homage cover variant by Trad Moore, Black History Month variant cover, so that's 2, 3, and then Marvel 97, I guess is an event that they're doing also that has a cover name to it. So 1, 2, 3, 4 covers. 5 covers for Night Thrasher.
That's a lot.
For Night Thrasher, it is.
What's Spider-Punk about? Like, what's the origin? Tit Goblin.
Spider-Punk is a Spider-Man from an alternate universe, and he's played by Hobie Brown, who was in the regular Spider-Man comic book a villain called
Prowler.
Was it the Prowler? Is how Hobie Brown first time? Not Rocket Racer.
No, Hobie Brown was the Prowler.
Was the original Prowler?
Yeah.
So in a alternate universe, he's the Spider-Punk.
I expect the number ones will have more covers. Yeah, me too. I expect the most covers on the number ones, of course. Like Maleficence with its 50 covers.
And since it's going to be Wolverine's 50th birthday, 50 years of Wolverine, there's the logo that they're making for him.
Is that Jim Lee pose of Wolverine jumping forward in the O and the 0?
It feels like a John Byrne pose. I don't know if that's the Jim Lee one. To me, that feels like the silhouette looks like John Byrne to me.
All right.
But I could definitely be wrong.
Yeah,
I don't know where they might have pulled that image from.
Who knows?
So let's see, Wolverine 43. It has Sabretooth through the Ages variant cover. X-Men 97 variant cover. So it's one, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 variant covers for Wolverine issue number 43.
Is Sabretooth Wolverine's father officially? Or did that never happen?
I think X-Men Origins retcon him to be a brother.
Okay.
The father was hinted, and it was something I think Claremont kind of hinted to, but it just was a way for Sabretooth to torture Wolverine, and he was saying that, but it was never confirmed to be the father. From what I recall.
Only 10. The other day I bought a comic that had 15. Maleficent, the origin of the villainous. It's a lot of covers. Wolverine got me smoking cigars as a teen. That's why Joe Quesada made that rule that no Marvel characters were allowed to smoke anymore. Because those teens are too impressionable. Let's see, what other comics do I have here? Not too many. We got, this was mentioned before, Usagi Yojimbo, Ice and Snow, Part 3 of 5, or 272, Legacy numbering. This was an interesting issue of Usagi because it was mostly about two villains fighting. In that, there's this guy. What was his name? Jei. This guy right here, who's been around before. He and Usagi have tussled before, and he's hunting Usagi through the woods. Meanwhile, Usagi and his cousin ended up in the cabin with another demon, this snow demon, who they luckily drove out. So now this snow demon and Jay, this death dealer demon, end up fighting. She's some kind of energy vampire, so starts killing Jay's men. He took over this gang. Just like, hey, you can kill them all. Just give me Usagi. So it was interesting. You don't often see a fight between like two villains in Usagi Yojimbo. So that was a fun issue. And of course, Usagi's always good. Even if Chris isn't up on his Usagi issues anymore.
Way behind.
In a bind and way behind and willing to make a deal. I really liked the fight in Usagi Yojimbo. The lead up to it was creepy, a standout issue in my mind. And mine too, really it was. I mean, like it's not often you see. That Usagi Jimbo might end up as my favorite single issue of the year. Yeah, it could be up there. Like I said, it was extra. There were two very creepy villains fighting each other too, with the bandits kind of caught in the bandits who were also bad guys. But it's like you didn't want all the bandits to just die by the villains. We're just killing them one by one. They're like, yeah, whatever, we'll kill you. You're just regular humans. And you know, when people die in Usagi, they get the little skull floating off. I always liked that. A little skull. And I'm glad they're sticking with the color at Dark Horse too. Because Usagi was always in black and white until it went to IDW for a couple of years where they colored them, and now it's back at Dark Horse where they're coloring them. Like, cool, I'll take that. I'll buy that for $1.
Is that all the books that I picked up?
So what's the last comic you've read, Chris?
Transformers #3.
Oh. Wilson's got that one, right?
Yep, I just picked it up for this week's books. This is the cover that I have.
Is it that one, Chris? Did you?
That's the one.
Wow, so you were to the comic shop this week, huh?
That's right.
Wow. Is it the first time you've gone in a while?
Yeah.
Did you get anything else?
That was the only thing on my pull list.
Couldn't find anything on the shelf?
No.
Petrol Head didn't interest you?
It's, you know, I'm not one of these rich people that can buy comics.
Oh,
It had
okay.
5 covers, according to the credits page.
You're one of those rich people who buys toys. We can tell that.
I think comics are more expensive than toys.
Yeah. I don't know when you can spend a lot of money on either one.
I don't typically buy the expensive toys.
Well, you could be one of the dollar bin shoppers at comics too.
Well, I've been buying those.
Ah.
I've been completing an X Factor collection.
Ah. I was just watching Don the Comic Book Junkie's video where he was talking about slowing down in his collecting because his comic collection, I think, is up above 40,000 comics. And he's got OCD and can't get rid of it. He's been going to like the flea markets and buying like a long box full of comics a week. But they're all like, you know, it's like a $50 or $100 you fill a long box, whatever it is. Now he's not buying expensive comics; he's buying 25-cent comics. But it's like he's got too many. He's like, I got too many of them. And
well, that sounds like the move you do when you're flipping them on eBay, like just an independent seller.
Well, he's doing that move without flipping them on eBay. There's the problem. So he's actually looking into getting a storage space so he can store a bunch of the comics he doesn't really want as a step towards getting rid of them. I was just like, that's interesting.
If step one of trying to get rid of your comics is you buy an entire box of comics every week for $100, you're kind of getting off on the wrong foot.
No, that's not step one. Step one is buying a storage space to put the long boxes of comics that you buy every week. Yeah. Well, maybe step one would be, he said he is going to stop buying the long box of comics every week. So maybe that is step one. Stop buying that long box of comics. Then step two is getting the storage space so that he can move all the comics in there. And I guess that way he can see that he can live without them. And then he can get rid of them. I think I didn't watch the end of the video. I don't know if he got that realization either.
This is a guy you know, or he's just
no? I just know him from YouTube. I comment on his videos sometimes.
So you're best friends?
Yes, we're best friends, obviously.
In a step 3 prophet.
But he probably I was thinking this a couple months ago. I probably have the most weekly comic book hauls on videos on YouTube. Because I've been doing a weekly comic book haul video for I think 9 years now. And I don't know anybody else who's done that. Except Don the Comic Book Junkie he hasn't done a weekly comic book haul video, but he's done 3 videos a week sometimes of his not a pull list, but because he's still got a pull list, but he's cut down on that a lot, of his flea market books. So he probably has more comic book haul videos than me. But he might be the only one I could think of who does. And I have more probably weekly comic book haul videos than everybody. It's weird to think that. But I've been watching his comic book haul videos for 9 years or so, commenting on them. NECA is releasing some cool Usagi Yojimbo toys this year. Huh? Keep my eye out for them. I believe Sabretooth is only Graydon Creed's father. For what I understand in origin, Logan is half-brother to a third character named Dog. There's a lot of stuff going on in that Wolverine.
I don't think they care anymore. Because sometimes you get pitches like everything you know about character X is wrong. If the only way you can tell a story is by saying that nothing that happened before you got there mattered. It's shock for shock value and just gets people upset, and in the end, it doesn't do anything for the sales.
What do they call them? EQs. That's the initials. Everything you know is wrong. EQ. So, Chris, which comic shop do you go to?
I go to a place called Sailfish Comics in Greensboro.
In where? Greensboro?
Greensboro, North Carolina.
Sailfish Comics.
Sailfish Comics. SSALE Fish Comics. The extra S
is for savings?
Savings.
Or is it the SSL Fish? Like it was a boat.
It could be that too.
One never knows.
The top of their building just says comics really big.
Yeah, I don't know if my comic shop has a name anywhere on it. The official or incorporated name is Comics Warehouse, but I don't even think they have a sign. Stinky Comics. It's for Gus shops.
Mm-hmm.
Stinky Comics.
That's important than the name of my store is the fact that they are next door to the Church of Scientology.
You can go in and get your
Thetans
what do they
audited.
call it when they
you get your Thetans audited.
You get your audit. There's the word I can't remember out of many words I can't remember this evening.
then you become possessed by the soul of L. Ron Hubbard.
L. Ron Hubbard.
Well, they actually tried to bring the boats. Tried to come in like 1974, and the Portuguese Navy went up and met them, and threatened to shoot them if they entered territorial waters.
The Scientologists had a boat.
Yes,
entered territorial waters.
You didn't know about L. Ron Hubbard's Navy.
No, I know nothing about L. Ron Hubbard's Navy.
That's a first for me as well.
Oh, they had a Navy. It was called the Sea Org. If you joined the Scientology Navy, basically you could never do anything ever again. You had a 1 trillion years contract as a member of L. Ron's Navy.
A 1 trillion years contract. Okay.
So that means that when you died and became a Thetan, you were still employed by the Navy. But because you were a Thetan, they didn't have to pay you.
Don't microwave in the office break room. Comix. That's a good name for a shop.
You didn't know about the Sea Org. You remember the first time that anyone on the planet ever heard of Anonymous in 4chan was when they Anonymous declared war on the Church of Scientology.
I remember that.
Like 15 years ago or something. And they posted everything that they could find out about the Church of Scientology wherever they could. They spammed places. All of this because somebody posted a recruitment video with Tom Cruise on YouTube, and the Church of Scientology did a copyright claim. And then being anonymous decided we don't mess with us.
1 trillion year contract. What's the downside?
Exactly.
I actually was watching a video today on how long ago shoes were invented and how they know it. And they know it because they have like a shoe. Sometimes they get a shoe that's many thousands of years old. But we have weak, wimpy little toes. And it has nothing to do with evolution. It has to do with us wearing shoes.
Right.
So because we wear shoes, our toe bones aren't as robust as people who don't wear shoes. So they found this toe bone from somebody 40,000 years ago, and it looks much like one of our shoe-wearing toe bones. So they're like, we know this person walked around in shoes because their toe bone isn't robust. I was like, oh, that's interesting. They can tell by your toe bones if you were a shoe wearer or not.
We found a 40,000-year-old grave with wimpy toe bones.
Yep. Yep. That's how they know. Shoes were worn.
That would make for if we bring back Anthro at DC, that could be a cool joke to put in. Anthro invents shoes. Hey, and somebody walks up to him and says, "No way you're going to make people wear those." I mean, 40,000 years from now, somebody will say we have wimpy toe bones.
Wimpy toe bones. You and your wimpy toe bones. Now it sounds like a song to me.
My toes were wimpy because of the bones.
Let's do another Reed, Rip, and Slab before we go. Let's see. What year do we want? 1940, 1983, 1989, 1962.
Let's go 89.
89.
Make sure there's a McFarlane cover.
This is January 1989 Marvel Super Teams. Let's see here. Oop, got to go back to here. Back to share. Oop, oh, that's the wrong thing. I need present. Share screen. Share screen. Window. There we go. Super Teams. Marvel Super Teams, 1989 January. Avengers 303. Fantastic Four 326. Uncanny X-Men 244. I have never read any of these.
I would have bought all of them. I don't remember that Avengers cover. The X-Men, I definitely know I have. But the
That
other two, I
X-Men
would have
one, I
not.
think I remember the cover on.
Okay, so that X-Men is an assistant editor month type comic, so they skipped it. But I did read the Avengers and the Fantastic Four.
Tit Goblin was on an excavation once with someone who wrote an article on ancient shoes. I probably know the people who put out that video. Let's see. Eric P. already is going with Slab Avengers, read X-Men, and rip the Fantastic Four.
I'm going to slab Avengers, read Fantastic Four, and rip the X-Men.
I'm going to read the Avengers because I don't remember that story. I know I bought the issue. I am going to slab the Fantastic Four. That means I'm going to rip the X-Men because they need to get taken down a peg. And I would obviously replace I'll replace Nova with the dolphin because we need a giant dolphin.
Fighting the Avengers.
And I would put the flamingos with the X-Men. I would put them probably standing behind the X-Men so they could see who they're looking at.
I'm going to dolphin Psylocke on the X-Men cover, and I'm going to put the flamingos on the Wizard's gravity discs.
I was thinking that same thing too. That's a good spot for him. Flying flamingos on the gravity discs. Let's see. He's 62 Lefty Blues is going to read the Avengers, rip the FF, slab the X-Men, and dolphin the Thing in 2 covers. Double dolphining the Thing. Read X, rip Avengers, slab 4. Dolphin all the shadows. Dolphin one of the shadows. He doesn't want to dolphin them all, just one.
But are you going to put a dolphin on the shadow, or the shadow with a dolphin on the shadow?
Nah. Good question. Read FF, rip Uncanny, slab Avengers, dolphin the X-Men shadows, flamingos resting on Mr. Fantastic's arm. Another good spot for that.
Yeah.
Who drew that Avengers cover? Is that one of the...
That's Paul Ryan.
Paul Ryan.
Okay.
You could tell it's Paul Ryan because he's showing the superheroes' butts.
And you can tell the inker is Tom Palmer.
I like to keep a tab in different bookshops. That way I can annoy more people in my chit chat. One of the reasons I don't buy online is I love to talk with my comics clerks.
Oh boy.
Yeah, I'd love to talk with my comic clerk too. I go in there and hang out. Shadow of the Dolphin, the one that has bullet head on the left side. Oh, okay. There's our dolphin shadow. What am I going to do? I think I'm going to slab that Avengers 303 cover just because I kind of like it. It's sort of a, not a great cover, but sort of a classic pose cover. I could hang that up on my wall. What am I going to read? I'm going to read. Who's doing the Fantastic? Is that the Walt Simonson era?
No, that's Englehart and Buckler era, but the cover's by Ron Friends.
All right, I'll read the Fantastic Four, which means I'm going to rip that X-Men up. I'm going to see if I can tear it right down the middle of Storm, in between, from her head to in between her legs. And what should I dolphin? I'll dolphin the Human Torch. I'll have a flaming dolphin dodging Wizard's discs.
And the flamingo.
I'll put a flamingo in each of Nova's hands as they try to shout across the battlefield to each other.
Hey, Norm, are you over there?
His reach is really wide. I can't believe it.
Yeah, let's name the flamingos. One is named Norm, and the other one is named what?
Paulo, you were reading comics in 1989?
I was reading comics in 1984 when I was 4.
Uh-huh.
But they were not Marvels. They were still only Disney's.
Flamingos on Nova's Kirby fingers. Yep, that's where I was going with them too. Yeah, keep your my friend John used to have a T-shirt, one of those shirt a day sites that had a drawing that looked just like the Nova hand that said "Keep your Kirby hand strong." So what's Chris gonna do? We care about Chris's opinion, so we're gonna.
Well, I mean, what's the point of slabbing something?
The game. That's the only point. Well, the point can be whatever you want the point to be.
Well, I think the X-Men is going to get me the most money in the aftermarket.
That could be the slam of points.
So I'm slabbing that.
All right.
I'm going to tear up the Fantastic Four, and I'll read the Avengers.
Okay. See, sometimes I pick the slabs due to how much money I think they can give me, which is why I try to even out how much money something can be. And sometimes I slab something so I can hang it up, so it'll be a conversation piece. Like my Mr. X #1 slab.
Mm-hmm.
Which is, just hangs out and is a conversation piece, even though no one ever comes here for a conversation.
Yeah.
When are we going to do a live ep? At your house, on location?
Whenever you want. Next time you're in town, you let me know, Chris. We'll do a live event.
It's got to be all 4 of us.
I didn't win the lottery yet, so
that's why you got to slab the correct comics.
That's right. Then I can sell it and buy a one-way transatlantic ticket.
Yeah.
I would slab Uncanny for my daughter. That's a very Taylor Swift cover. I would rip Avengers and read Fantastic Four. Sketch boom. Spider-Man. Oh, looks like that Avengers 303 is a newsstand. Maybe we should all slab that one.
I think that Fantastic Four may be the first one that's written by John Harkness. Quote unquote. Steve Englehart decided halfway through his FF run that he was going to be called John Harkness.
The son of Agatha Harkness?
Yes.
Okay.
I think he didn't want to be Alan Smithy.
All the X-Men girls are just ballet floating there. What a poor cover. Yeah, not mine.
It's Mark Silvestri.
Mark Silvestri?
Yeah. But he doesn't do the inside because that's one of the fill-in issues.
Is that FF cover homaging X-Men #1?
No,
no,
not really. No, because Mr. Fantastic is almost in the area that Magneto would be, but it's not.
No, it's just Fritz was doing a Kirby riff because at the time he was also drawing Thor.
Okay.
Yeah.
Also doing
a Kirby
riff.
It's more of a Kirby-ish cover.
Mr. Fantastic has to be stretching on the cover. Otherwise, why have him?
You don't know he can do that.
Right.
What is a middle-aged normal guy doing there?
And it's like the Invisible Woman is usually just sheltering.
Mm-hmm. Or they draw her with those lines that are supposed to represent invisibility.
And you know what was funny about? I just made that one up today as I was doing it, and so I went to I think it was January '89, And I was looking at the covers, and I was like, oh, I like to have it. And I was like, oh, let me do a Super Team one. Let me get the X-Men cover. And it took me a moment to find the X-Men because it was the day and the age before there was 1,000 X-Men book, and the X-Men cover was under Uncanny. Mm-hmm. So I went down to X, and it was like there was no X-Men books there. Coming soon from Alan Moore, middle-aged normal guy. In Portugal, we might have had comics 5 to 8 years later in Brazilian pocket-size editions. Am I right, Paulo? If Paulo comes back, he'll tell you you're right. The current FF is the only time I have followed the series. I bought the FF in the late 70s, early 80s. That's really the only time. I was never a fan. You know, I know it's I'm a heretic for saying so, but I was never a fan of the Stan Lee, Jack Kirby FF. Mostly because I couldn't stand Stan Lee's writing. And so my first FFs were when Perez first drew it. So I got a few of those, but then I didn't start collecting it till like around issue, I think 190 or so, maybe 190, 193, something like that.
My FF when I started were the John Byrne ones.
First run John Byrne or second run John Byrne? Because didn't he do some issues before he took over with like 236?
I think it's second.
Yeah.
Whatever was going on in Secret when
he was writing it.
Yeah, when the She-Hulk joined.
Yeah, when he was writing
I was reading the FF, yeah. And then the Marvel Triple Action, or no, Marvel's World's Greatest Comics was the
World's
reprint.
Greatest.
And the reprints at that time when I was getting them were I don't remember who was drawing those.
How long did Marvel's Greatest Comics go on for? I remember it in the 70s. I don't remember it after then.
I was able to find them at that time. I was able to find them in the dollar bins and stuff like that. So that's how
I don't remember anything past the Kirby issues.
They were some past Kirby issues.
Yeah?
They were the one. They were. I think there were a few that dipped into the 70s books. Into the early 70s stuff.
I must have not been paying the least bit of attention to it before then. There's Paulo again.
Yes, I froze.
Yeah. In Portugal, we might have had comics 5 to 8 years later in Brazilian pocket-size editions. Am I right, Paulo?
Yes, DC was 2 years behind. Marvel at the end was 3 years behind, but we still had some 5 years behind stories. When we started, it was all over the place. We could get stories from 1982 and 1974 in the same comic.
Let's say he says the current FF is the only time I followed the series. I bought 2 issues of the current FF a couple months ago. The ones that Scott Koblish did the alternate covers for that had 1,000 guys on them, and I bought them just for Scott's covers. But the actual comics were pretty good, I gotta say. Those 2 issues were solid FF stories. So
they're trying to go more for science fiction-y things than just battles. I mean, Dr. Doom showed up, and and they had, and there are some weird not villains, but definitely menaces. But they are focusing a lot on the family dynamics.
Right.
What I don't get is why the Human Torch has a mustache, but
the Human Torch's mustache. Let's see. The last comic I got for this week was the Creep Show Holiday Special.
Nice.
Another fun cover. Who did this one? Is this another Gila March cover? Yeah, I think it says March down there. Where is it? Oh, there. Because I think I've been ordering his versions of the covers when I see him on. But who does this one? The first story, Daniel Kraus is the writer. Jonathan Waysnack is the artist. Adriana Lucas, the colorist. Pat Brousseau, the letterer on both stories. Second story is James Asmus is the writer. Letizia Catanisi is the artist. And Francesco Segala is the colorist. No one I've ever heard of besides Pat Brousseau. But just a couple of fun Christmas horror stories, which really, it's like they don't even try to go for twist endings. There's just bad endings. It's just like bad things happen at the end. Like the first story is about these brothers teasing their little sister about the Christmas man, who's this monster who comes and punishes kids for not having stockings out for them. So she steals the stockings that her brothers put out, and the monster comes to life and chews off her brother's feet. The end. It's just kind of like, oh, okay, that was a horror story. And the second one, I think, was similar. It's just like, bad things happen at the end. Oh, the second one is called Porch Pirates. And it's about these two women who steal packages from people's front porches. And then something bad happens to them at the end.
That'll learn you.
So it's tough to call them stories.
You better give me back my text or I'm going to send you to the cornfield.
But nice cover. Lots of nice covers on these creep shows. The current FF series has been solid science adventures, and I've been enjoying them. Like I said, I enjoyed those 2 issues I read of it. So
yeah, even the art's pretty good.
Yeah. My favorite FF is the Wade Wieringo era. I read some of that. Byrne was cool. DeFalco, Paul Ryans were okay, and the ones done by Alan Davis and Carlos Pacheco are beautiful. The Dan Slott run was just dull, script and art. I remember reading some of that Wade and Wieringo stuff and liking it. I don't know if I read any of the DeFalco, Paul Ryan stuff.
The DeFalco, Paul Ryan was when they decided to go back to basics and decided that the Human Torch was not married to Alicia. It was a Skrull. It was the beginning of all our problems. Now everything that we don't like is a Skrull.
Looking forward for this year's Hellboy Christmas edition, a zombie cat. I didn't know Hellboy did a Christmas one every year. I just have never followed Hellboy much.
No, you don't need to follow Hellboy.
Yeah.
You can pick up a miniseries and read.
The only one, but I generally have not done that, except for the Richard Corbin graphic novel, Hellboy. I remember getting that one. I read that. Came out this week. Okay. So it's already out. Get your copy now. I want to check in with Chris, see if he's looking forward to any comics.
Me?
Yeah.
I got nothing, man. I don't know.
Not one single comic. Yeah.
I mean, I've been enjoying Skybound's Energon universe. They got the Transformers.
Oh, Void Rivals. Have you
Void Rivals? Yeah.
Okay.
And let's see. For that matter, I guess I've been reading Firepower.
Okay.
And that seems to be closing in on.
Did you get the new G.I. Joe?
Yeah. I got that. With the Larry Hama text, where the original Larry Hama writing. Have you heard this?
I heard something about they put out a well, first of all, there's G.I. Joe 301, the continuation of the Larry Hama series. They put out a facsimile edition of G.I. Joe #1 with extra Larry Hama text in it. How did that story go?
The story is some of the stuff that he wrote in the first issue way back in the 80s was changed by editorial.
Okay.
And so now you're getting what he really wrote.
Script.
Yeah. And I think it's just amounts to maybe like a speech from Duke.
Right.
Or something at some point. I can't help smelling like that's just a gimmick to sell the same book again, but I don't know.
But I like those facsimile editions, so. Though I don't know if I still have it out here. I don't know if you saw this last week, Chris. I got Black Science #1 10th anniversary edition, and I can't for the life of me remember why I ordered it. Probably because it was the only one of 2 on my pull list that week. So,
is Black Science still being published? Like,
no, it ended. I actually bought it and read the trade paperback with all 43 issues in it and like it just a couple months ago. I didn't buy the individual issues except for #1, I think. So it's like, why did I want this 10th anniversary edition? I'm not sure. Let's see. The G.I. Joe books, Duke and Cobra Commander are the only Energon books I am getting. Okay. I like the ad for Duke. It looked like it had some good art. I've been following Hama on the G.I. Joe books. Paul is right. Every Hellboy book looks like it is the first. Mignola knows how to hook us up. Now, besides G.I. Joe 301, is there a new G.I. Joe #1 coming out?
I don't know.
I wasn't sure. I thought there were supposed to be, but I haven't really been paying that close attention. Though John, who works at my local comic shop and is a G.I. Joe fan, pointed out that facsimile Larry Hama G.I. Joe #1 they put out on uncoated paper. I guess because they wanted it to look like an older comic, except G.I. Joe #1 actually came out on Baxter paper. So it came out on the glossy, shiny newsprint. Not newsprint, the glossy, shiny Baxter paper.
How glossy was Baxter?
It was as glossy as you were going to get in 1982.
So, like, would you look at that against today's glossy paper and think it's significantly different?
You would look at it against 1982 paper, and it would look significantly different.
But compared to today's glossy,
I would say today's is probably thinner and glossier. I'd have to look. Matter of fact, I might do that.
You better.
Let's see. Let me see if I can walk into the other room and pull it out. X-Men Titans was on that Baxter paper. And if I remember correctly, my X-Men Titans had yellow. Yeah, it had yellowed, which Baxter paper is not supposed to do. All right, so this is nowhere near as glossy as today's glossy paper. Not even close. But it's still pretty bright. Even though it's yellowed, the colors look bright. Oh, not even close. Not even close in glossiness.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I thought.
I never pictured Baxter as being glossy.
Yeah, I didn't remember. I remember
thought.
Extra bright white.
Yeah, I remember it being white. I remember it having a good thickness to it. And it just made the colors brighter. But to me, I never thought of it as being glossy.
X-Men Special Edition. which is right next to my other one. I think is also on Baxter paper. Oh yeah, it's not glossy at all. Which also has yellowed since 1983. They told us this paper wasn't going to yellow. They lied to us. Can you believe it?
Because they knew by the time 30 years went by, there's no one to blame. We were promised. So, but who made that promise? I just remember them advertising, it's on Baxter paper.
It was supposed to not. I don't remember who made that promise, but that was one of the things that was supposed to be. That was one of the premiums you were paying for. Was bright white, non-yellowing. Maybe they just meant it wasn't yellowing it at that moment.
Right, because newsprint was yellowing it about a month later. But I don't know. I don't recall them advertising the Baxter like that. I just remember.
I do. But like I said, I don't.
Yeah.
I've got no proof of it. I don't really remember.
And I remember like Vigilante was a big deal for being on Baxter paper. That I do remember an ad.
Just Vigilante. Like I remember DC Comics selling us Watchmen as a creator-owned series, which turns out it wasn't. But I don't remember where I read, But I remember that's one of the things that was said around.
The things that comic books had promised us.
Yellow because of your cigarettes, Jared. That must be it. I got my cigarette voice on tonight. I'm following the Hammer G.I. Joe books. Paul is right, even Hellboy, yeah. Looks like it's first. We saw that. The paper for that G.I. Joe #1 felt like an 80s book. Yeah. It wasn't gloss. It's Did Reed Richards create it and name it after the Baxter building? Who knows? Why was it called Baxter paper? I don't even know. I got no answer for it.
That I don't know.
Actually, I think there's a Wikipedia article on that.
Yeah.
On Baxter paper?
Yeah, I think there is. Let me see.
Invented by Clarence Baxter.
Baxter paper 2.
I wonder if it was an experiment to get all the books put onto that paper.
For premium books only. And they could charge an extra 50 cents. Like that reprint. That reprint of Giant Size X-Men #1, I think, it had a $2 price on it that I just showed. And that was like 1983.
Yeah.
So that was an expensive book in 1983.
Well, think about like Marvel Fanfare. That was advertised to us as being like the creme de la creme of what they're putting together. And then I saw the original artwork for that first issue, which was a Michael Golden issue.
And it's in this artist edition.
Is the stamp on the top that it was an inventory story?
Marvel Team Up Inventory
Story. I found that out probably a couple of weeks ago, or like 2 days ago.
That's why I stopped buying Marvel Fanfare. I forget what, because like in the beginning, it was the best creators, the best talent, the best printing, it was $1.25, I think, an issue too. So it was, most expensive book. And after a while, and I would never have suspected that Michael Golden's story was an inventory story because it was Michael Golden and it was really nice.
Exactly.
But after that, there were a lot of stories that were obvious inventory.
Yeah, because I mean, even after the first Michael Golden story, the next few are just Dave Cochran's X-Men, and it's like, oh, I thought we were going to get at least 4, Golden books.
I'm pretty sure the Michael Golden story was inventory.
Yeah, because it says so on the pages.
Right. Because the Angel still has the blue uniform.
Yeah.
The pages actually have stamped on the Marvel Team Up Inventory story. I can confirm by yellowing my cigarettes for sure. Wasn't Camelot 3000 the big debut of Baxter Paper? I don't remember.
I want to say it was Vigilante because I remember the ads for the DC books for Vigilante being on Baxter Paper. I don't know if that was the one.
What the first one was. Well, we should say good night for the night. Whew. I got to get some more I have to take some more sinus medicine sometime.
Yeah, definitely
I can feel
get some
my
rest.
sinus filling up, and it's getting harder to talk as things bubble in there.
Wasabi will clean that right up. And we'll let you breathe for at least a little while.
Yeah. Oh, we got one last comment. Jared, like your marker legend that follows if ink is fugitive, have you ever tried to follow up archival or acid-free paper in your supplies, yellow over time? Yeah, I keep an eye on that. I do. I bought Dark Ride and Hell We Fight and Art Brute. 3 good ones. The problem is the bookshop can't get me ahead of issue number 1. Now buy the trade paperback, they say, after buying the first issue. Oh boy, how rude. I blame Jared. All right. Well, you guys have a good night out there. And we'll catch you next week.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.